Welcome to the Default Profitable Podcast, a show where we dive deep into the real struggles behind starting, building, and growing a business. Whether you're a founder, a leader, or just a curious builder starting to dream, this podcast is a toolbox for making profit a default setting rather than a lucky outcome. I'm your host, Matt Nettleton, and today my guest is Clayton Tomasino. Clayton, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me, Matt. Great to be here.
No problem. So we haven't really met or talked at all. We just kind of connected over LinkedIn. And why don't you take 2 or 3 minutes, introduce yourself to the people who are listening, and then before we get into the business even.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great. As you stated, my name is Clayton Tomasino. Live in kind of central Indiana, just west of Indianapolis. Born and raised here for the most part. So always been a Hoosier. I got a degree in international business from Valparaiso University, MBA from University of Indianapolis. I got some other small things that I've gotten over the years from other places. So I think probably the biggest thing for me, I guess, for kind of everybody to know about me, I think this is a business podcast, and but I think for me, I keep my family very much in the forefront. Like actually for today, I was in Tampa. We were working at a show down in Tampa. I had to fly back today to take care of some stuff. And then my kids all have their end of school events. So I got to do that. As soon as we're done with that this evening, I'm pretty much getting on a plane and flying back to Tampa. So, and I knew I was going to have to do that, but it's a sacrifice that I want to make. It's the point of why you work, or at least for me, it's the point of why I do what I do. So if I don't have the freedom to do those things with my family, then what's the point?
Well, and I will tell you, my youngest just graduated from high school this week, so don't miss any of it because it goes by quick.
Yeah. My oldest, we were just talking the other day because he's a sophomore. He's going to be a junior. And I'm like, man, you are getting old. He's like, I know. But it does go quick. And I love like being around the kids. I coach a lot of sports, so. I coach, like one of the games we have tonight is flag football. So I coach the flag football team, not because I wanted to, but it's because no one else volunteered. So, I'm happy to do it. I coach my daughter's travel softball team, and I pretty much at least one sport every single session.
Awesome.
It's a good It is. I love hanging out with the kids. I love imparting stuff on the kids. It is also a good way for me to do 2 things at once. I get exercise and I get to hang out with child X. So,
Right.
It's putting 2 things together and then hopefully creating value as well. I would hope so, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's the goal. That's always the goal, right?
It is.
So tell us about your business.
Yeah. So the business, it is Scorpion Protective Coatings. So Scorpion Protective Coatings is a family-owned business. It's owned by myself, 76, then my father and my uncle both own 12. That started, it's actually technically, this is our 30th year in business. So Scorpion technically started in 1996. I arrived in 2007. The family business growing up was asbestos removal. So that was the glamorous, my glamorous life growing up. I was a farm boy, and then we did asbestos removal. So it was a pretty gritty existence. But about 2006, they had to wind that down for the reasons that I won't get into that as part of it, but the reason that asbestos removal businesses get wound down. And they wanted to launch Scorpion. My dad had messed around and made these little batch mix system for spray and truck bed liners. So that's what he had been working on for kind of 10 years. And he was trying to give a kind of a low cost, low barrier to entry alternative to what had came out in the 90s, which was Rhino linings, spray and truck bed liners, then kind of Line X following that. So that was the product. That's what he was trying to do. So then I came back in, '07, May of '07. We redid the packaging, redid like a lot of stuff and how we sold it. And then by 2010, both him and my uncle had retired. So then I've been here ever since.
So when did you switch from the linings to the window tint?
Oh, I think it was, it happened kind of organically in its own way. So when we were selling the truck bed liners, it was pretty much an add-on to a business. So we would sell, truck bed liners to say an auto body shop or a car dealership. So then, we kind of got everything together and be like, okay, what else can we do? Can we start creating packages, other add-on packages to go with that? Because we're already doing it. So we created this program. It was actually called SCAN, Scorpion Automotive Network. And then we had all these different products. I think what was it? It was paintless dent repair, windshield repair, what was it? Headlight repair, and window tints. And so those were kind of the four things that we messed around with, and quickly found over time that one of those had higher demand and higher margins than the rest of them. So that was the window tint. So then we started kind of pursuing that a little more, and then really just giving it attention. You're kind of watering that flower all by itself and pulling the other ones, which ended up being weeds. It really allowed that to grow. And then it started a whole nother thing because we had, we were like the Inc. 5000 list for several years. And then we brought in window film. And then when we finally got our footing on it, then we had a whole nother growth curve with that. And it's still growing to this day. So, yeah.
So typically when people start businesses, they are one of two ends of a spectrum, right? One end of the spectrum is they look at it and they go, man, I'm passionate about this. I'll figure out the money. And the other end is I see a business opportunity. I don't really care about the product, but I'm willing to do it. Like,
Yeah.
where were you on that spectrum?
Oh, I mean, I'm not an automotive enthusiast per se. I mean, I came back and I got into it because once again I was kind of helping my dad. I really wasn't even planning on staying. We were moving back from Hawaii, and we were coming back here. I was gonna help him start the business.
Wait, stop.
Yeah.
You were moving back from Hawaii?
Yeah, we went after we graduated, I think we lived in Charleston, South Carolina, and then my wife and I got married there. Then after we got married, it's like, all right, where do we want to move to next? And then decided, luckily, we were looking at New Orleans and Hawaii somewhere. We decided Hawaii, which was lucky because New Orleans, that's when Katrina hit, like while we were in Hawaii. Which would have been an adventure in itself, but probably better to be in Hawaii.
Yes.
But then, I got a job pretty quickly out there, just through a network that I was dealing with in Charleston, South Carolina. So I got a job, and so we got a job in an apartment and moved out there and lived out there for a couple of years.
All right. So then you decide, I'm tired of good weather. I'm coming back to Indiana.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's it sounds silly to say that, but being from Indiana, or anybody that's from kind of maybe a northern climate state, you do miss the seasonality. I remember the second time that we had Christmas there. Like the first time, it's really cool. I mean, it's 86 degrees. There's lights and palm trees, all that kind of stuff. But then like the second time, I remember it really did kind of hit me in that melancholy way of, because you miss that seasonality, you miss all those things, and also for us living out there, we're kind of East Coast where we're at in Indiana. It's all Eastern time. Everything we do, So then we're moving out to Hawaii, which is 6 hours different.
Yeah.
So you rarely talk to friends anymore. You rarely talk to family. The Colts and the Pacers game comes on in the morning. So it's just like, it's hard to adjust to. When you're used to something else for years and years and years.
All right. So you come back to Indiana. You decide you're going to help your dad out.
Yep.
And things basically work out. Your dad 3 years into your helping him out, decides he's going to retire.
Yeah. Yes.
So you're sitting on Scan, right? The Scorpion Auto Network, and you got all these different products, and you settled on the window tint based on margin and demand.
Correct. 100%.
All right. Okay. How much of a now you had your master's in business, you had a lot of education. What sort of strategic planning had you done to get to this point?
Oh, I don't know. I would love to say that, I developed complex systems, that were guaranteed to output profit on every sale and every inch of movement. Um, but really, I think, at that point in time, we'd kind of review things from the bottom up. So, since this being a financial thing, and I do have a good background in accounting and stuff, so all the stuff that we did, we would start from the bottom and work our way up. So we knew that we had operating expenses of about 35%. And we knew that our targets, at that point in time, our target net income was about 8%. So you take those numbers, and then now I can work back up through a cost of goods sold and be like, all right, I need to sell products at X GP percentage to be able to build a business. And we reviewed each and every product under that same lens at that point in time. Now it's changed over time, because you get a little more sophisticated, you get a little more nuanced in terms of your product mix, and like sometimes you can take some GP even though the GP percentage isn't there. When we start getting to higher volume things that we weren't doing then. But yeah, it was really kind of that kind of simple of a little formula that we would base stuff off of. And we had products. Our our customers are the same great customers that we have now. So it's like these a small business to business, entrepreneurial, automotive. So yeah, be able to work with them, give them as best value as we could, and protect our margins, be able to grow, responsibly.
If you read business books, you need to have 3 things when you start a business, right? And you have to have this detailed strategic plan. You have to have 6 months of savings, and you have to have this clear idea of what people will pay for what it is you want to sell them. Listening to your story, I would guess you didn't have those 3.
Well, I came into, kind of an entrepreneurial business, so I didn't really come into a business plan.
Yep.
So, right away, it gets a little bit different because right away, the biggest responsibility that I had as a family business was, making sure that what we were doing was making money. And, because I was brought in to be the CFO. So, it's imperative that, that we don't go broke, and that everybody's getting paid, and
That's important.
that everybody's doing, everybody's directed in that path. It sounds important, but as walking into situations like that, it's not always the truth. Sometimes there's money going elsewhere and all that kind of stuff. So you have to clean all that up, but have uncomfortable conversations. But yeah, I think the business plan so for me, the business plan kind of came afterwards, because it's almost like in that kind of perspective, it's almost like I bought a business in a way. So you already have established customers, you already have established behaviors, you already have established value propositions. So then you kind of got to make it up from there. So yeah, and that's kind of when you look at the window film. It's like you evaluate, okay, we have these customers, this is what they do, we have where we're at, we want to be margin wise. And then, then you can look at other products. Do they fit that mold, etc.?
Yeah. So if you think back to 2007 when you joined the company,
Yeah.
right, and then 2010 when you actually took it over, what do you wish you knew when you started?
Well, you know, the big thing is that I wish I knew right away that net income wasn't money. I didn't realize that. You know, it, I mean, it happens to probably a ton of people, but I didn't realize. I mean, so that's you know, like I always tell everybody, education's expensive. So you learn a lot. You learn a lot as you do it, and it costs a lot of money to learn that. But
Yes.
that was kind of the first thing. And really evaluating. I remember, you know, r- really trying to figure out, the difference between that income and cash flow, and how those balance and all that kind of stuff. So that was a big hurdle, a big educational point, that I found right away.
It is in 180 episodes, the number one cited thing people wish they understood
Yeah,
was financial literacy of a business versus a household.
yeah,
Like everybody knows how to keep track of whether or not they have money in their checking account, but running a business is a whole different deal.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, because like even for us now, I mean, we have to do a 120-day buying forecasts of money, and you know, and cash is king always. So people want cash; they'll give you discounts if you buy stuff in cash, and everybody's hungry for more cash. Um,
Yes.
so but you got to be protective of that, and make the choices that sometimes lead to a lower net income outcome, but let you hold more cash throughout a time period, um, you know, which is, allows you to de-risk the business and all that kind of stuff. So, there's a lot of those kind of little educational things that you learn along the way.
Yes.
I also learned that, you know, because when you're first in there, especially when I'm younger and you have the bravado of growth, uh, I did not know that you could grow yourself poor. Uh, you know, so both of those things in conjunction, it led to some dry periods of, because these aren't mistakes that I've just made once. These are mistakes that I've made twice. You know, maybe looking at them again right now. These are common. I don't know if they're mistakes, personality flaws, or what, but they're common
Well, you just haven't done it the hard way yet,
uh, maybe, or I just love the
right?
suffering.
You'll learn the hard way. You just haven't found the hard way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I found the hard way. I would like to find the easy way. You know, uh, but I'm also a glutton for punishment too. So it's hard for me to, uh, rest. And I've made the mistake of that's another mistake I've made too. Kind of talking about it, but uh, like not moving goals. Because I remember one of our original things was, to get to 10 million in revenue. And then once we got there, I think everybody rested. And then there was like there an atrophy, and as far as the leader goes, um, and once again I've learned, but I didn't have goals that were big enough, in hindsight. And then, you know, as soon as I got there, I really should have already been concentrating on the other goal that we had, whatever goals those would be, but that we would made on our way there. So I'm a big goal guy at this point in time in my life. So I like setting those, especially like lofty goals, and really asking the questions like, okay, you know, say we want to get, I'm not a big revenue guy, but say we want to get to 100 million, 150 million. And, so how would we do it, and work back from there. But always having that hard goal in sight. And then, with like the people in the office, I know we've talked about it a lot. And then working from there and getting everybody their own individual metrics that are not revenue. Because I hate revenue as a metric. It's such a misnomer.
It's a lagging indicator of behavior.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lagging indicator of behavior. It's also, uh, as I said, I mean, it's no indication of the business health. It's no indication of how much money you have. It's no indication
Yeah.
of security. It's no indication of freedom. Which to me
Yeah.
is the ultimate. I mean, that's what I'm in business for, is to ironically be free. Um, you
Yes.
know, yeah. So yeah, it's always and it's tough. You got to help people find those metrics and what it is. Because I had another, like, one of our sales guys. I mean, we were kind of going over, kind of talk about what he wanted his metrics to be and things like that. And he gave me the revenue one, and I was like, okay, I get that. But let's look at, let's say it was double that, and so we were kind of looking through, and for him, it was actually simply, what was it, getting customers to order their order frequency from, I think it was like 4.9 times a year to 6.1. If his average customer, like about went from 4.9 to 6.1, then I mean, the dollar amount was tremendous, and it exceeded his goals. But, but then you can actually look at your customers and be like, "Okay, I'm not trying to push something on you, but, what can we do that provides them value, that increases their frequency, that, this, that, and the other?" So it leads to better conversations. Where if it's just straight revenue, then it's more of a mercenary conversation. You know, and yeah, once again, and some of the outputs of that conversation may not mean anything, because
Right.
if they don't yield value for the company, if they only yield value, on a metric, whatever it means. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So it's been like 28 minutes, but I know there were some that we blanked out there. But um, I just have one final question. If 2026 Clayton could go back to 2010 Clayton, sit down next to him, crack a beer open, and say, "Listen, I'm 26 years in the future, or I'm 16 years in the future. It all works out. You'll be fine,
Yeah.
right? But tomorrow, you're taking over the company. Here's what you should do first." What would that "here's what you should do first" thing be?
Mm. I would focus on, you know, especially with the way the internet's kind of come up throughout that whole standpoint time, but I would really focus on community development versus new customer acquisition. Um, I think that's a fallacy that, once again, it kind of kind of be one of those guys, like a high growth thing. There is so many lessons and so many opportunities that have been missed over the years because we were always focused on the next thing, next new customer, next big project, uh, versus taking all the customers that we had and developing a community, letting them talk to each other, us being in there, and really creating that community, because we do have a lot of like-minded customers. And if we would have done that over the year, then maybe the 250,000 you lose a year from the business dying off, that doesn't go. And so you don't have to work as, I mean, not work at, what I'm saying now, but that
Yeah.
keeps adding up. So, all of a sudden, if you don't lose, like I say, you don't lose that $250,000 in business. Now you've added $1 million every 4 years. You made yourself
Right.
you made it so much easier on yourself. You know, I mean, at this point in time, that could be like $20 million. You know, um,
Well, that's so when I work with clients, I ask them what percent of the revenue they get from existing businesses that they already have revenue from.
yeah.
And they are consistently, we get 94% of our, then I ask them what percent of their salespeople's time is spent prospecting those people to take care of them and see what they can grow with.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, we don't do that. We're new logos. We're new logos. We got to find new logos."
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's no reason to keep buying farmland, but then not take care of the farm that you already have.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, once again, that's a lesson that, yeah, I really wish in the very beginning, one of the focuses, like, for customer service would have been community cultivation. A lot of C words right there, but
Yeah.
I really wish that would have been, but once again, uh, it's how it is.
It's what you wish you had
I
done,
know.
not what you actually did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, I know now, and I mean, as we kind of bring through a next generation of employees through the business, you know, they know that now. So, as this
Right.
business keeps going, you're not necessarily doomed to make the same mistakes over and over again. Yeah.
Oh,
Or at
yes.
least maybe a little,
Yes.
maybe a little less this time than you did last time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do new dumb things. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do
Yeah.
the same dumb
Yeah,
things,
or now it's just not as dumb, like
which is perfect.
like I remember the really harsh part, so I'll not do that, but, you still got the rest of it, every day
Yeah.
like, it's hard to even, like, be, like, an expert on anything because I mean, I make so many mistakes on a daily basis, but that's okay because I mean, we're trying all the time, um, so I mean, but we're constantly making mistakes and, you know, doing the wrong thing. But if we weren't, that means that we're not trying. So I'm
Right.
A-okay with that too.
Well, I think that's a good spot to kind of wrap up because you laid out a lot of great kind of wisdom, which is take care of your existing people,
Yeah,
make a lot of mistakes, be comfortable that you're going to make a lot of mistakes, just try to make different and better mistakes next time.
yeah, 100%.
So, well, hey, Clayton, thanks for being a guest.
I appreciate it, Matt. It was a great time.
Yeah, and for people that want to learn more about you, we're going to have information to contact you in your show notes, a little bit about your business,
Okay.
and we'll get that set up. If you're listening, 3 ways you can help us. Leave a review, hit subscribe, share an episode. Until next week, we'll be back. Until then, stay focused, keep working, stay profitable.